Steve Blake can play. He's reliable when healthy. He's capable of making big shots and making a contribution. I think it's a quality pickup on the part of Golden State. But I think as you parse through the words of Kobe Bryant, what you have to peel from it is exactly what he tweeted. And he said, not cool, and he said, psycho competitor.
Yep.
What he's talking about is that if you're a psycho competitor, you have somebody who craves to win, who hates to lose. You always need to be incredibly reluctant to let go of somebody with that mentality. And when he's talking about not cool, it's probably because he didn't know about it until it was done. Then when you read the stories, particularly the ones written by Dave McMenamin for ESPNLA.com, who does an outstanding job covering the Los Angeles Lakers, it has a quote in there from Mitch Kupchak. And I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the exact quote in front of me. But essentially, there's a quote in the story where Mitch Kupchak is being asked about Kobe and what kind of input he'll have come this summer of free agency when the Lakers are expected to have anywhere from $22 to $28 million available. And in that quote, Mitch Kupchak says, essentially, well, if he agrees with us, he may have some kind of an impact. Mm-hmm. But if we are opposed, if we don't see eye to eye, then he's probably not going to have much of an impact. Well, number one, that comes across as incredibly dismissive.
Yeah.
And number two, what I would say to Mitch Kupchak, the man I profoundly respect and like, actually, and you know, I'm known just covering the sport for years, I would say this about Mitch. Those are not quotes I ever heard coming from Mitch when Dr. Buss was alive and running the Los Angeles Lakers. Yep. It just seems to be this new era of dismissiveness, not just towards Kobe, but towards an abundance of other people when it comes to player input. Now, I'm not one of those guys who believes that a player should make the decision. Players play, coaches coach, executives do what they do. But when you're the guy on the court and you are a five-time champion and a former league MVP and scoring champion and a perennial all-star and Mr. Box Office for that franchise, it's not the Lakers selling themselves anymore. It's the individual selling those Lakers. And, Skip, I'll hand it off to you by saying this. For those out there who look at what I'm saying and want to just summarily dismiss it, what I would ask them is to reminisce about what happened with Michael Irvin when Jimmy Johnson first came on board to take over the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and those boys. And Michael Irvin had a list of the dudes, you know what I'm saying, that were a bit lackadaisical, that winning wasn't a priority, that they slept well at night, that they were comfortable because they knew they were getting their check. And from what I'm told, Michael Irvin, the playmaker, handed him a list, said, these are the guys, get rid of all of them, okay? So what I'm trying to say to you is that there's a reason Jimmy Johnson was loved. Sure, he was the boss. Sure, he could do what he wanted to do outside of answering to Jerry Jones whenever he had to.
Yep.
But ultimately, what he knew was the players are the pulse of a locker room. And sometimes they are the best indicators of what you need to rid yourself of and the kind of ingredients you need to keep. If anybody personifies that, Skip, it is Kobe Bryant. But I don't get the impression that the Lakers either understand that or appreciate it nearly as much as they should. But they had better, because there's a new day coming. And when Kobe Bryant's gone, we'll see how easily it is to dismiss what he's saying then.
Okay. To your Jimmy Johnson analogy, remember, he was handed a 3-13 team, and his first comment to me, the first training camp, was, it's even worse than I thought it was. And trust me, no matter what Michael advised, Jimmy would not listen to Michael on this. If he liked a player that Michael didn't, he would keep him. Okay. So back to your Kupchak dynamic here. To me, if I boil it down, we parse words. The key phrase in the tweet was, one of my closest teammates. So Kobe, I think, is feeling a personal, painful loss of a guy he just really liked associating with. Again, Steve is a psycho competitor, but if you have to start Steve Blake, who I thought played his best basketball of his career for the Lakers last year, if you have to start that guy, you're probably not that good, right? I mean, he's a backup point guard, which is how they'll use him in Golden State. So to me, Kobe was reacting in a knee-jerk emotional fashion on Twitter. It's careful, like, don't hit send because you're stung by it. Like, I can't believe you did this. Boom, send. And maybe you sleep on it and say, okay, maybe I was a little over-emotional on that one. But I remind you, what did Kobe Bryant say in the big interview that he gave to everyone at All-Star Weekend when he was in his humble ambassador mode? Remember, I'm going to paraphrase this quote. Didn't he say, hey, I don't want to have any input into the personnel decision. They've been doing a great job with that for a long, long time, so I'm out, man. I respect the heck out of what they're doing, right?
But I'm not talking about what Kobe had to say as much as I'm talking about what the Lakers have to say. It's not customary for them to do that. When Dr. Buss was alive, it's only become that way, in vogue, so to speak, once Jim Buss was controlling. He's not, obviously, Jeannie Buss and those folks are there, but we all understand that Jim Buss has a significant role. That's all I'm trying to say. And what I'm trying to say is this. Kobe isn't interested in being friends with people who can't compete. Kobe isn't interested in being friends with scrubs. He isn't interested in being friends with dudes that have that kind of mentality. And your point about Jimmy Johnson with Michael Irvin, again, Jimmy Johnson's going to do what he's going to do. But you don't summarily or just, you know, as a company policy, dismiss players. There are certain players you want to listen to because not just because of what they accomplish, but you believe in them because they mirror who and what you are and what you want to stand for. If you are engaged in the sport of in professional basketball and it's about competition, how could you not take heed to something that Kobe Bryant has to say?